as much as I love technology, technology can never replace the emotional feeling that people feel in that connection. If you are a human and you have an opportunity to change a situation, you will always have a job. And I say that to my staff, right? Like, you being at that front desk and being able to connect and them knowing you by your name and how you make them feel is job security for you. Brooke will never take that away for you. And having that connection with the guest is so much more meaningful than you just making an appointment for them. I am a big proponent on we need to be proactive than reactive. We should not be looking at a client waiting for them to write a negative review if they're not happy. Now our front desk can read body language and say, you know, Michaela, Mary came in, she seemed a little off. By the time Mary gets home, a human can make that phone call for her and turn that situation around. And that's where we're shifting human talent from technology talent. Technology is going to do the basic, but the human part is going to build that relationship and build that loyalty to Salon, especially when we're in an era where customer service is being diminished. Now we can have our team members really elevate that and bring it to another level that they feel that they're being served correctly.
Welcome to Brazen and Bold. On this episode, we're going to discuss the intersection of technology and people first, where systems help businesses grow and still focus on growing culture and leadership. There is no one better to join me on this topic today than Michaela Blissett Williams and Vinay. Vinay, will you share your last name with us?
Vinay Sukumar.
Perfect. I'm glad you said it, and thank you. Welcome to the show. Michaela comes to us with years of industry experience. She's the owner of the beautiful Brooklyn-based salon 718. And this salon started in the basement of a brownstone with just 2 chairs and has now expanded to multiple locations. Not only that, but you've got this amazing concept of people first beauty and all inclusivity, which is so powerful. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Heather.
Yes, thank you. And Vinay, you're our tech genius whose expertise has led multiple companies. And so far, I really am excited to have the two of you talk on this show about what you've developed with Rosie AI and how you have specified it for the beauty industry, and especially working the two of you hand in hand to kind of develop and get this prototype going to have a really cool, innovative solution for front desk systems and overflow with what you have named Brooke, correct? Brooke is our salon receptionist?
Absolutely,
right.
From Brooklyn.
Yes, that's perfect. I was going to say, now how did she get her name? So I want to know a little bit really how the two of you met, because we've got a little bit of your background, but I want to know, how did the two of you meet to decide to work together on this project?
So my husband has used this company for years and is the guru for technology for our company, right? Like, Brian is always looking for the systems that can make us run a little bit more efficient and has been the one that always pushes the envelope with that. And we happen to have been in North Carolina meeting with their parent company. And the conversation came up like, hey, what's going on in your industry? What's your biggest pain point? And I said, our biggest pain point is training our front desk. Like, it's not a position that people really want to stay in for very long. And it takes so much time to get them trained. And once they get trained, after a year or two, they leave. And when you get that, I'm not staying anymore, you get that pit in your stomach, because it's not just read this manual. It's just so many parts that go into it in training them. And it was really like a sore spot for us. And they said, tell me a little bit more about that. And they said, do you have any time? And I said, sure. They go, let's go and whiteboard the experience of the phone call from the guests to the receptionist. And, I think this is a difficult thing for salon owners and hairdressers to do, because we all have our systems in our head, but to put it to paper, we always think it's a lot more difficult than it is. And they literally locked me in this room and they're like, we're not leaving until we do this. And then we called the salon a couple times for them to hear the questions that the front desk were asking. And we said, hey, let's try and build an AI for the salon. That was about 1.5 years ago. And I am not even though I'm married to a techie person, I understand the importance of it, but being able to be on the forefront and really understand how AI works from the back was really a really wonderful journey for us, right? Just seeing how quickly it has moved and how adaptable it has been and what goes into it has made this a really fun project for me. And seeing where we are a year and a half later is really incredible. And just seeing how we can contribute to the industry, right? And how this is going to be the new um, moving from paper to a booking system. It's going to be that for the receptionist. And I think in the process of doing that, it has allowed us to really give our receptionists even more options on how they can grow with us and
Mm.
not just by answering phones. So we have maybe 9 people now who have gone to beauty school since we have, you know, the AI that can step in and kind of help. You always encouraged it before, but you were a little bit afraid of sending them to beauty school because it's like, okay, I still got to train someone. So
Right.
this has allowed us to do that in a rapid way to get more people to join our company and get into production and do things that are a little bit more creative, which ultimately we're going to be able to keep them longer with us because of that.
There's a career path in that, which I love. Vinay,
There's a huge career path in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is so heartening for me, right? Just maybe a flashback. I grew up in contact centers, both offering customer service as well as building technology for customer experiences. And often I found that it's very transactional usually, and brands don't remember their customers. And as my career progressed across the IBMs and the AWSs of the world, and we started building solutions for insurance and airlines and healthcare. um, what was really fascinating for me was talking to Michaela. Directly see how a solution like this in this industry has a direct impact on people's lives. And the challenge was you want to make it so that there is zero burden on the owners to really deploy Brook and onboard them. Make it affordable so that it doesn't break your bank. So you don't have to choose between, do I have to do this? Can I afford to do this? It becomes a natural motion in your business where it actually allows you to give more back and invest more back into your business, right? So those were the pillars that we were actually thinking about as we were seeing whether this can be applied effectively and how to do so, right? I mean, like Michaela said, it's over 18 months, and it's been one great journey. And the highlights have been really the reaction and the feedback that we received from each of the businesses that we work with.
this is so exciting. I had the chance to meet Michaela just recently at the Data Driven On tour in Nashville. So we were in the same room and I was impressed. And I think we actually really met. We spoke at one of the salons that were on tour. And I spoke with you and your partner, your spouse, and you were sharing a little bit about some of the technology you had, or I think maybe offering insight about something that we were seeing on the space and just having a conversation. I was really impressed with how dynamic you are and how well you work
Oh,
together and how
thank
powerful the
you.
two of you are. Yeah, absolutely. So it was a privilege to meet you there. And then I was introduced to Vinay through a mutual friend who said, I heard this voice speak at Intercoiffure and I think you need to be in touch. Just give him a call. And so it was really I just feel so lucky that I get the chance to meet with and learn from people like the two of you and that I get to do this organically as part of my day to day. But I'm learning so much as I go along. And then I did not realize that the two of you knew each other, worked together until Vinay said, okay, I've got one of our users who's going to be joining me for the podcast. So it's just kind of a fun full circle moment to have both of you here on camera with me and joining me. And the two of you are from such different industries and backgrounds, right? I mean, art and hair and leading people who are creative versus technology, AI, innovation. Um, these are two very, very different worlds. I want to know, and each of you are very serious about scaling with intention and about people, right? I would love to know, what does scaling with intention mean to each of you? And how is Brooke helping, Brooke solving this for the industry?
Yeah, sure. So scaling with intention. The idea here is that we want to put people first. And when I say that, it means both the end customer as well as the people in the salon who are managing the day to day, trying to deal with the customer in front of you. But at the same time, you have phones ringing off the hook. You're trying to understand, which ones to manage, which ones to prioritize. And you're also, as a business owner, you're trying to see, how do I grow my business? How do I scale my operations? how do I get to the next level of customer experience that I can differentiate myself in the industry? With all of these things, the question is, do you have the right tool in place to aid and augment your overall operations? So, table stakes, we want to make sure that the customer experience when they reach out and connect with you is is good and it's in line with how you set up your brand voice as a business. And B, you want to make sure that you're available whenever they choose to reach out to you in whatever channel they choose to reach out to you. So that basically eases the onboarding or the connection between the end customer and you as a business. Now, once we solve that, now the real question is, how do you enable such that the teams within the salon can get organized in maximum productivity? Now, what that means is, if you're today spending 6 hours of a day answering phone calls, what value added experience can you add in your day to day if that number can be reduced to maybe 2 hours, right? Do you have anxiety of taking lunch because you think you're going to miss some calls or some customers walking in, right? Or do you spend, I don't know, 2 hours on a Tuesday morning just listening to voicemails, right? And as a business, if Michaela is looking at her, telephony reports and sees that I see there is about, I don't know, 75 missed calls or abandoned calls. So somebody's trying to reach out. I don't know who this person is or why they might have tried. I have no clue. Now, with Brook, you're able to prioritize any interaction that is coming in. You're able to get full visibility. Even if a customer is trying to reach out and then choose to hang up, that is an active lead as a business. If it's a known customer, Brooke recognizes this is Jennifer calling in because you have Jennifer on your system. So you can reach out and say, "Hey, Jennifer, I see that you were trying to call. Were you looking for something?" So that level of personalization allows you to scale effectively. And you can't do that if you don't have a system that's allowing you to get full visibility and manage all of those interactions. And Michaela, I'm sure she's got some great stories because she always thinks about programs on what I can do to give back to my team with the time that we're getting and what I can do to, enhance my business.
Thank you. And Michaela, when you mentioned, you were able to free up some time for your front desk, and this is going to diminish the pit in your stomach when someone says, "Hey, I'm ready to move up or do something different," or "I want to go to beauty school," which is great news. It can grow within your organization. But now what about the front desk? And for many people, the front desk is a step on their journey, not always the end destination. And it is such a high touch place. It is the first impression for most of our guests or the first in person impression. And so, as you're sharing that you like the freedom that it's given you to maybe build your team in other directions, like I want to talk about scaling with people. You are so focused on growth and I'm not just talking about business growth, which is important and impressive, but you are really invested in the personal growth of yourself and your team and helping them to have a career path, a roadmap, and consistent opportunities. So, how has Brooke or implementing technology in these ways helped you scale with intention there?
So I think it all comes down to culture, right? Like, I think we are change agents in our industry, and everyone that works for me knows that we're changing something just for the sake of changing it. Because if we don't change, we become very stagnant. So you have to create a culture where they don't fear change, but they embrace change. So even on the journey of Brooke, I had to send that message out on what the benefits were going to be for the company, for us to do that, for us to be seen as innovators and how they could contribute to it. So, whenever we were doing any iterations or changes, I would have a group of people in the salon call into Brooke and give feedback because everyone wants to know that their opinion is valued, right? So, on their own time, they would test in and they would try and mess Brooke up as much as possible, right? And we loved it because we got their involvement in it, right? And they started talking to our guests about this AI agent that we're building. And the guests were excited because a lot of our guests were in technology. And again, it just positioned us as we're not just a salon, we're always out there looking for things that are going to make it better, right? Um, Going back to not being able to use the bathroom, that was also one of the things that was really important to me because I do feel that sometimes, especially when you have people who are committed and want to work hard, they need to take a break. They need to be able to go and eat lunch, right? And sometimes, the person who works so hard is the person who always works hard. The fact that she can turn Brooke on now and take a break meant so much to me because she won't burn out as much. A lot of these calls that we were getting weren't so much for appointments, but I'm running late. Where Brooke could send a message to the stylist, Michaela's running late, right? And didn't have to speak to a live agent. And what we also, and for us, and again, I want to say this very carefully, we started removing our front desk about 3 years ago. And what we found was, remember, we're in downtown Brooklyn, right? Real estate is extremely expensive. The space of a front desk could generate two more stations for us, which could be the equivalent of anywhere between a quarter and a half $1 million. I'm not making that much in retail, let's be honest, right? So, how do I create a space where we can be more efficient? And going to the Apple store and seeing that there weren't cash registers anymore, everyone was doing mobile checkouts. We started incorporating mobile checkouts and having the front desk having to do the mobile checkouts. We realized it would be very difficult for them to answer the phone. So we started moving our operations of booking away from the salon a while back. And this just helped us with the growth of being able to grow by having Brooke there to answer the phones as well.
That's a really clear path between not only supporting people, their well being, the intentionality for them to have a nurtured, really a holistically well environment with work, being able to take breaks and know that things were handled in addition to the scalability for your business. I think that's really great. So I think, you know, for those listening, or especially someone like I would know, we brought on Brooke to try it out, I think about a month ago, maybe a little less than a month ago at our salon after I talked to Vinay. And I think our concierge was like, am I going away? Like what's happening? I mean, it can threaten people, especially we are just brand new. We're not like officially launching anything. We're just trying this out. So I didn't make any kind of announcements to my team. There wasn't that probably the great strategy that you implemented there, Michaela. But I just let them know what it was, "Hey, not we're trying this. Like, this could be great for nights and weekends maybe when we're not here." And, the first day, I don't think she missed a single call. She probably didn't even sneeze and close her eyes at the same time. I think she was like, "If I move and Brooke answers the phone, they'll know they don't need me." So I wanna kind of name that fear or call out that concern and talk about how do we talk to our front desk teams, or how do we talk to salons, Vinay or Michaela? How would you advise a salon? Like, hey, here's what you could do with that person. Anyway, you mentioned taking those people that are part of your organization that mean a lot to you and moving them elsewhere, or giving them other tasks. Like Vinay said, hey, what if we were answering the phone 6 hours a day and we diminished that to just two? What are we doing with the extra 4 hours? What are you doing with the extra time and the extra space? And how would you advise salons to do something similar?
So I think we have to go back to the people, right? And as much as I love technology, technology can never replace the emotional feeling that people feel in that connection. And I'm just going to tell a very quick story just to kind of like get this across the line. I was in Canada. I had to get back to New York for a funeral. Porter canceled my flight. And I'm literally at the front desk crying. I need to get to New York in 2 hours. And the woman goes, there's nothing I can do for you. I run to American Airlines and I go, I see that you have a flight right now. I need to get on the flight. And she says, there's nothing I can do for you. And I worry about those people because that's who AI is going to replace. If you are a human and you have an opportunity to change a situation, you will always have a job. And I say that to my staff, right? Like you being at that front desk and being able to connect and them knowing you by your name and how you make them feel is job security for you. Brooke will never take that away for you. And having that connection with the guests is so much more meaningful than you just making an appointment for them. Because you can read body language when the client isn't 100% happy, you can let us know. I am a big proponent on we need to be proactive than reactive. We should not be looking at a client waiting for them to write a negative review if they're not happy. Now our front desk can read body language and say, Michaela, Mary came in, she seemed a little off. By the time Mary gets home, a human can make that phone call for her and turn that situation around. And that's where we're shifting human talent from technology talent. Technology is going to do the basic, but the human part is going to build that relationship and build that loyalty to Salon 7 especially when we're in an era where customer service is being diminished. Now we can have our team members really elevate that and bring it to another level that they feel that they're being served correctly.
Hey, business owners. Yes, you. I know you're juggling it all: marketing, admin tasks, websites, podcasts, social media. The list never ends. That's where Spark comes in. We're a virtual assistant company built just for small business owners, because once you're able to delegate, we know you'll be able to dominate. Our clients are seeing up to 30% increase in social media engagement and sales, all by letting us handle the behind the scenes work. Not to mention an incredible boost in flexibility, profit, and time. So scan the QR code right now to schedule a free chat with my team. Let's make you efficient AF and help you focus on what you do best: growing and leading your business. There's the unknown of technology and advancements, and AI is coming for everyone, right? AI is going to be walking my dog before I know it, right? There's people who have this overwhelming fear, and the truth is, who knows where it's going to go or what it looks like. And for the time being, we still need technicians performing services. So I'm not going to get into like way out back to the future stuff, but in real life, whether or not we like it, technology and advances in technology are coming after the jobs of those people like you called out. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry. If you're going to be a robot, we'll just have a robot do your job.
100%. 100%.
The change, that your team is about change making. You're change makers, and you teach them that. When we have the chance to be agents of change and help and connect with somebody, we are never out of a job, because those are things that are really what we're yearning for most. So thinking about how we can implement and incorporate systems and technology to build businesses to scale and to enhance the human touch is everything. That's what I founded my virtual assistant business around, is that entire concept that we can take the mundane and the rote and the routine, and we implement and incorporate AI heavily into what we provide, in addition to a human who's able to execute more high skilled things, letting a leader go back into more of their leadership role, more of their high touch role. I love how you mentioned, hey, Mary came in, she seemed a little off. Catching those kind of things and being able to be proactive about it is the difference between someone maybe coming back and giving you one more shot, or really, really feeling nurtured and connected with and never leaving you. I want to know, how do you train to that? What are you teaching your staff at the front, and how do you get your team on board with that type of attunement?
Well, I think the first thing is I think a lot of people fear telling you that because they think they may be in trouble because they didn't perform their job correctly. So you have to remove that fear that people are going to get in trouble versus the fear of a win for the salon, right? It's a total win if we can turn the client around versus you feeling that I shouldn't say this because I may get in trouble, right? Again, it goes back to culture. If we have a stylist and let's say she's doing highlights and we get 3 complaints about her highlights in a period of six weeks, that conversation isn't you're in trouble, we're docking you, we're going to close your books. It's like, let's put a pause on this and let's have you work with a personal coach so that we can set you up for a win. When people feel that you really care about them, they show up very differently for you. And I'm a proponent of servant leadership. So I'm here to serve my staff and they will serve my guests better. And again, like sometimes people fear growing people because they fear them leaving. And I always say, what happens if they stay? Like magic really happens if you create a culture where they know that they're going to be taken care of and they want to grow with you, right? And back to the technology, even though we introduced it and introduced them to AI, when we're doing some of our meetings, I will say to them, pull out your phones, go to ChatGTP and ask ChatGTP, what is the best way to get me exposure on social media? And we'll go through prompt exercises for them not to fear AI as much, and they can see how AI can be their personal assistant to help them throughout the day. So I think if you don't fear it and you embrace it and you show them how to do that, it lets them again be a little bit more different than everybody else.
Yeah. Putting them at ease and then also establishing that community and culture as cutting edge, technology forward, and that you're continuously not only embracing technology and growth, but helping your team navigate those waters so they feel safe and that they're not like left on the outskirts of it. So I think that that's a really powerful, like the way you even explain having your team call and try to stump Brooke and mess around with AI to see if you could get the robot to do something wrong and then and give feedback. It was a way it's like a new team member, like, "Hey, take this new team member to coffee or go sit in the break room and get to know her." You basically had him take Brooke for a spin and you demystified it, which I think is really impactful.
Now, just to add to that point, Heather, I think there is another key stakeholder in this adoption and the journey as well, which is the actual customers, right? So one thing I always tell, and this I learned from Michaela, is when you're introducing something new, don't surprise people. Putting a social media note, letting them know, hey, we are working with a new technology to help us as we are growing. And Brooke is here to assist us. If you have any challenges, let us know. If you have any feedback, let us know. Bringing the customer on as a stakeholder as you evolve is a key thing, irrespective of which, I mean, whether it's technology or any new practices you're bringing on. And that is something that we've seen work really well. And we've seen also backfire where people don't, and they just surprise them and they don't see adoption. Because remember, we are all used to calling into contact centers or phone numbers where we would say 0 or 9 for operator. I just want to skip this menu, right? So it is also a behavioral change for the end users to understand what is it that it's really offering. Is it trying to block me from actually having a meaningful conversation, or is it going to really support me in whatever it is that I want to achieve, right? So I think education for the audience is also important.
And create a fun environment. Like the year that we launched Brooke, it was the year of AI. Everything in the salon, and it kind of coincided with Into Coiffure because their new talent contest that year was AI. So our images in the salon were these real futuristic images that our interpretation of what AI would be. So I think, you know, incorporating that. Our party was around AI. The clients realized it, they embraced it. And I think even at the beginning, we are like, try Brooke and save $5 on your appointment and give us feedback. Like, just give us some feedback on how Brooke worked, right? And boy, did they have feedback, you know? And some of them would make a comment and it became a conversation with their hairdressers. Like, you know what? This is interesting. And the other thing that was really interesting was everywhere is using it now, from restaurants to like doctor's appointments. So a year and a half when we were doing it, it seemed new, but now it became very normalized because everywhere they're calling is using it. And in their mind, well, you know, the first time I heard this was at my salon. And again, that sets us apart from everybody else.
It is. It's I think it's really fun too. I love the ideas that you're having, like Vinay saying, "Hey, don't surprise people." Well, oops, we kind of surprised people. I will not be lying to you. I like also how, you said make it your whole theme for the year was about technology and AI and working with intercoiffure and things like that, where there's where your work has been recognized, Michaela, and what you're doing. But I think it's really important to make it exciting. And I think something that's difficult when you've got a culture that is growth minded and perpetually not only just personal development, but salon growth and what's new. I think when you introduce it as friendly, as supportive, as a benefit, and you're consistently talking about it and presenting in a way that's non threatening, some people are still going to be resistant and a little nervous at first. Some people are going to kind of push back against or push zero. They want to talk to a person, right? They want to just go to the person. But you're going to notice that the more you do that, people will be adapting. They'll be assimilating. They'll be excited about what's next. And I think that that's very wise. And that does speak, as you've mentioned a few times, culture in leadership. Getting people to be on board from the beginning is going to reduce resistance and friction, and then you're able to make a lot of use of it, which is great.
And to your point, Heather, I think that's something that we've observed consistently. So every time Brooke goes live, I mean, I'm sure you would see this in your salon as well. Day one, you would see Brooke handling anywhere between 25 to 30% of calls end to end, no touch required, no follow up required. By the time the third month rolls around, you will see that brokers handling upwards of 50%, 50 to 60% of those conversations. And it only goes up from there. That one person who's hesitant to have that conversation or have that interaction with Brooke, guess what? They're probably going to have to call in sometime when it's after hours or when nobody's available to answer. And they will leverage Brooke. And once they do it and they're comfortable, they're going to stick to it, right? And that's how the adoption increases.
Yeah. I was letting Vinay know before I called Michaela that my mom, who probably will never listen to my podcast, which is just fine. So I can say whatever I want about her. She's wonderful and I love her. She is the most technologically illiterate human I've ever known. I remember when DVD players came out, it was like, she had no, she could not. It's like basic cannot with computers, just no, cannot, period. So my mom was texting me around 9 p.m. at night. And I actually don't have my salon booking software on my phone. Smart enough, I took it off because I don't want to be taking care of this stuff after hours anymore. I'll leave that to my assistant. And my mom was like, I think I want to do X, Y, and Z when I'm in town. Can I book for this and this? And of course, I'm going to do it for my mom. And I said, sure. And she goes, well, should I call the salon when they open? And I was thinking, yeah, I'll probably have her do it because I can't. Her with a robot, it's going to be a mess. And I said, wait, mom, I want you to call. I want you to call now. And I want you to try. I have a new receptionist. Her name is Brooke. She's a robot. But anyway, that's another story. So just try it. I didn't give her any instructions. I just said, see what you need to do. See if you can do it. Give me your feedback. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought this is going to be a disaster. Okay. I was fairly certain I'd get a text or phone call like, I don't know what to do. And she said, Heather, you know I'm an idiot with technology. Why are you sending me off to a robot to make an appointment? I said, just try it and see. It's new for us. Actually, the very fact that you're bad at technology is why I want you to do it. So she did. I get a text about 5 minutes later. All right, well, I'm all scheduled for this, this, and this at this time on this day. And that was really easy. And I thought, did Vinay text my mom and tell her to be an infomercial? And then I think I'd rather do that than talk to a person most of the time.
Yeah.
And my thing is not just a person. I know my mom, if she tried to book online, she'd be a mess. I'm not kidding. And like my mom's great and she's plenty smart. It would be frustrating. It would take too long and be clunky. But picking up the phone and calling and being able to do that rather than leave a voicemail after hours and say, please call me back when you have time, she was able to just take care of it. And I'm the kind of girl, and I don't know about either of you, but Michaela, you've got how many locations now? 7 locations?
Yes. It's
And
almost 8. We're opening up our 8th one next month.
7.5 if you got a bun in the oven. And if you're anything like me, it's about midnight or hopefully a little sooner when you're falling asleep and you're like, oh yeah, I need to call my doctor. Okay, I've got to get the dog groomed. Oh yeah, I need to do this thing. You know what I mean? I've been trying to get my
Yep.
into the vet for 3 months, but every time I think of it, they're closed.
Yep.
There goes the next day. And so if I could just call the vet and say, I need to get her in for an appointment and here's what I need, my life would be so easy. I would just do it at 10 p.m. when I'm falling asleep and when everything's closed, but my brain is finally opened up. So I think that there's a lot here. I do have a couple questions too. Michaela, as your team has grown and it's continuing to grow and expand, what systems did you're talking about delegation and systems and how important it is to you, and that your partner is very technology based. But as you were growing as an artist and a leader of teams and people, what systems did you put in place and what types of things did you do to streamline that were going to protect your culture rather than dilute it? What kind of things have you been able to do there?
So I think the most important thing is having an in-salon educational program. For that was our core from the beginning. Like we do here, but we're very much in the educational business, right? So I don't hire hairdressers with followings. I have hired seasonal hairdressers. I am not expecting someone to come with a book and make money for me. My job is to make you a successful hairdresser. And my goal is to make every single person working with me a 6-figure hairdresser. And that is my mantra. And if you ask anyone who works with me, they will tell you Michaela wants us all to be successful 6-figure hairdressers. And what I would like my legacy to be when all of this is done is that this is such an amazing career. I was able to retire a millionaire. I had a 401k, I had health care, and people really look at it as a great option of where they can go. And that has been my mission from day one. As Salon 718 grows, everyone should be able to grow with that. If that means start having a 401k or having access to some sort of health insurance, because we know it's very expensive, to having the opportunity and the knowledge of knowing financially where you stand and how to grow your money. Because let's face it, and I can speak for myself, we weren't having these conversations at the kitchen table, right? And it's really but by the grace that a lot of us learned how to invest. But if you really set it up from the beginning and let people understand what their relationship with money is, and by changing their mindset, they will live a better life and maybe change generations to come. That is such a bigger message than let's just do a great haircut, right? And you create a culture where now your coaches want that for the people that they're coaching. So, people go, do you pay extra for your staff to do this? I don't. And again, because it's such a part of our culture, but do we do amazing things like take our staff on trips and reward them and do great parties? Those things are so much more meaningful than giving someone $3 or $5 more to do their job, because then you're just paying someone, you're not creating culture. So everybody now wants to be able to have a personal assistant, and so that they can pour into someone, and then you can have the growth that you're looking for because it is aligned with what your vision is, right? It's about gratitude and it's about paying forward. And if that doesn't align with you, or you shift from that at some point, that's fine, but that you just can't be with us anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we have to really have that honest conversation. And I was fortunate that, in year 5, my busiest hairdresser started to get a little, you know, she shifted from what our vision was. And I know a lot of times we're like, I can't afford to let this person go. But you really can't afford to keep them because they can break down your culture. And, by letting that person go, so many people jumped up to that opportunity that were afraid to do it because she was not a great lead. You know what I mean? She was a busy hairdresser, but she wasn't a great lead. And subconsciously, it was stifling people. So that lesson to me was never keep someone because they're making you money. It's more important to keep someone who's aligned with your culture that will make money for you
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah. And like you said, you opened up space for other people to step into that, which was really
Absolutely.
great. It sounds very brave because it is so hard, especially as you're growing a business and her business is based on numbers and moving things forward. Um, I'm curious how you invest in your team and in an educational and financial way. Like, how are you teaching them and leading them in education? You mentioned a lot about giving them the ability to build a legacy or, retirement, something they're proud of, and generational change. What are you doing to educate and empower people on that front? Is that part of your education?
So, financial literacy is part of our education. Our 401k company will come in and do classes for them. And then we hire personal coaches, and we've done this over the years. And they've done like disc assessment tests or deeper tests to see where their energy levels are, things that are really unrelatable to our industry, but more. Um, development, personal development, because everything's intertwined. And this is what I tell them. You take a class about personal development, you don't leave it when you walk out of Salon 718. It follows you home, it follows you into your relationships, it follows you into how you parent. But you got to pour into yourself, and you can't expect me to pay you to come to the classes and pay all these people. It's an investment you have to make in yourself. And I think also as an owner and going to these different events, it's important to take your staff with them so that they see what you're doing and not thinking that you're just gallivanting and just having a great time, right? Um, it's great to have a great time and meet people, but coming back and having 2 or 3 people with the same message as you, you're going to get more buy-in than just you. I went to this show and this is what I saw. When Jonathan goes, you know what? Michaela was right. I went there. This is what they're doing. I think this is a great direction. They don't really want to hear it from you all the time. And you can't empower people if you're the same voice they hear all the time. You have to have other people on your team giving messages or even coming up with ideas that are very different from yours because there is a difference in generation. And sometimes you may miss that because you're so stuck on how you think it should be. You need to have open conversations with them and let them know they're part of the growth process as well.
Yeah. Get more people excited and on board with your mission. And then you've got it from the break room, the front to back, top to bottom,
Yep.
the grassroots way. Yeah, that is
Yep.
really fun. And yes, we are gallivanting, as a matter of fact. We'll be gallivanting together in Ireland very soon. And um, it is business and we can have fun while we're at it. So I think keep
Absolutely.
around it and getting people to be like, hey, listen, we are working hard. And when I'm there in Ireland, I am spending 2 days and I'm having a great party because the Irish know how to have a good time with Forrest.
Absolutely.
And I'm learning best practices for a business. I'm collaborating with brilliant business minds. I'm meeting people like Michaela when I go places and Vinay. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to incorporate this into what I'm doing with my team. So to be able to talk to that and let people peek in and come with you is kind of cool. I love that. Now, Vinay, I have a couple of questions for you when it comes to AI. What do you see AI doing exceptionally well? And then, like I was saying, AI is going to be walking my dog soon. There's people who probably oversell it and overestimate it right now. What are you seeing it do exceptionally well today? And where do you think we're overestimating it?
So first, let me start with this. AI is a tool, right? It's not the be all and end all. And the way I look at it is, you still, as a business, want to maintain the personal relationship. You want to have a concierge experience when somebody walks into your salon, right? And what AI does really well is free you up to do that. So you know that you have a reliable solution that is goal oriented. So it knows that when somebody dials this number, here are the set of things that they could be expecting. It could be to book an appointment, it could be to confirm an existing appointment, or it could be to reschedule, cancel, or just to say that I'm running late. Now, AI knows that if it is any one of these things, I can effectively help them answer those questions end to end, right? Not leave anything unanswered. In fact, the way Brook works is it's directly integrated into your Salon software. So it goes and makes those updates. It is able to look up right now what is the current availability. Right now, who you booked with, what are your preferences. So it's able to take care of those things. Now, what it's also good at, because it's been trained, is how to navigate conversations that are not related to the salon. If you're encountering spam, if you're encountering other things. The good thing is, if you'll also notice that the time that one spends on a conversation reduces because you're very, focused on what you want to achieve rather than having very long conversations that may not be as productive, right? So AI is very good at, getting to that goal quickly. So that I would say is very good. But and also AI doesn't get tired. Like it's like you said, Brook is available 24/7, right? And if somebody calls in a sick, or let's say if one of your stylists calls in sick and it's no longer you need to reschedule all of the appointments that's on the books, you can task Brooke to go and do all of the outreach, right? So think about how much time saving that you can have for something that you didn't have an option to in the past, and you can reclaim the time, and you can mark how many of dollars that is for you as a business.
Yeah. Thank you. And then I also want to know, for leaders, like a lot of salon owners who feel like they're behind. They're behind the technology curve. They're behind on what that is. They're not a Michaela who's like, we're all in, let's do this. What advice do you have for those salon owners or business leaders who feel like they're behind on technology or AI? Where's a simple place they should and can start?
I think, like Michaela said, I think about maybe 18 months back, people were not very keen and they were not sure if it's going to add value and if it's just another cost to the business. Now it's a very different scenario. There is a lot more exposure and awareness. So people are aware that a solution like this exists. Now, the challenge is there's two first thoughts that I normally hear. One is, well, I'm not sure if my customers would be happy talking to AI. I don't know if this is something that they would be pleased with. And then the other thing is, I'm not sure how much revenue it's going to drive. Like, is it really justifying the cost that I'm going to have to make? Now, the first thing I always lead with is try it, right? So when we have the first conversation, I get them to just speak to Brooke with no coaching, and I can tell you that 75% of any doubts kind of disappears right then and there. And after that, it really comes down to, and we encourage them to sign into a free trial period so that we set everything up. And they really get to see that there are no hidden fees, there are no hidden effort from their side, and Brook just works. And we're now that we've been selling to businesses and working with them for, I would say, the last 4 or 5 months, I can tell you the trend is showing on average, a salon is booking over $5,000 with Brook. And these are purely with calls that would have been missed otherwise, right? And we're seeing, so we started out Brook with just as an after hours agent. And and one of the salons really asked us, hey, can I use it during business hours? Because I see a lot of calls that we're not able to get to. We said, okay. And then now, guess what? Everyone, I mean, except for maybe two salons, everybody is using it as their overflow agent. And we see Brooke answering a lot more calls during business hours than after hours. So I would say 60% during business hours and 40% during after hours. And the two that are not using it as overflow are actually using Brooke as their front desk AI call center. And what that's doing is we've seen over the last 2 months, they've booked over $48,000 in bookings just with Brooke.
So Brook also comes in really helpful in snowstorms and on holidays, right? So you always have that one or two persons who are like, it's Thanksgiving. Let me just call the salon or like whatever it is. And now they're picking up those appointments and they're really impressed that they can make those appointments on those times. But we had a snowstorm the other day and I was just like, just get Brooke on it, like to start moving clients around. And it really helps. No different than, again, I'm on Delta and the flight gets canceled and I get an email. Guess what? We put you on here. If you have a problem, reach out and we'll change it. We're also able to save that client for coming in and seeing somebody else, right? Um, let's face it, there is a little bit of favoritism that happens at the front desk. This also balances that out. It's really based on availability and how qualified someone is doing it versus, I like Mary. She's my best friend. I'm going to book her. So it levels the playing field for the new stylist coming in also to get built.
Yeah. I think that's very this is very helpful, and I know that I'm just sitting here thinking I have about 85 more questions for each of you in my head. I mean, I really probably missed my job as being an interrogator. That would have been my favorite. I really have enjoyed so much our time spent together, and I know each of you have other places you need to take off to. In closing, first of all, you've both shared so much that I think is going to offer a lot of valuable insight and high impact, not only to scaling, using AI, leaning on technology and trusting it, how to incorporate it in our teams, but also especially and most impactfully, you know, what we can do to re-enhance our culture and our leadership and how we're growing people through utilizing technology, which I think is the turnkey point. I would love to know from each of you what is one non-negotiable value that you have in business that you've been able to stand by, and you're like, what that thing is for you that you're like, this is my thing.
For me, it's integrity. How you do one thing is how you do everything. A quote from Joe Blackwell. You have to be true to your word on everything that you do and building that trust and knowing that, if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it means so much.
Yeah, and for me, just adding on that, I wouldn't choose one over the other. But if I were to think a lot through my journey and what's really helped me in good stead, and build those partnership with the salons, Brooke is really a product of every single salon in the business that we work with, and the feedback, and how invested they get, and it all comes from empathy. It is from being genuine, true to yourself, connecting. When Michaela first signed up and agreed to put Brooke in production with our contact center, Brooke wasn't as mature as it is today, right? So we went through iterations, and we were able to go through that journey because we had the empathy both for each other as businesses, but also to our end customer, and understand the users, and really commit to seeing that through and make sure that they have a good experience.
Yeah, I don't think you can go very wrong with integrity and empathy. I mean, but the truth is, your relationship was not founded on either. It was founded on a hostage situation where you locked Michaela in a room and wouldn't let her leave until she told you
It's
everything.
true. It's true.
You
It's
held her,
true.
you held her by her feet and you shook out all of her secrets. And then integrity and empathy started this amazing collaboration. Remind me that if I ever get in a hostage situation, I want to be with the two of you because who knows what could come from it. That would be amazing. Thank you both
Awesome.
for sharing your
You're so welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I'm
Thank you,
excited for
Heather,
our
and Happy
listeners
New
to,
Year.
yeah, appreciate it, you guys, and Happy New Year.